Hello and welcome guys. In this video we're going to talk about how to increase our show rates. We all know the situation. We ran ads, right? Like we're very excited. A lead booked into our calendar. It seems like a good lead. Everything is perfect. And then once we, try to call the lead, when the time is there, when they're supposed to show up, they don't show up or they don't show up on the Zoom meeting. And that is super frustrating, right? That happened to me a lot of times. And I'm always asking myself, hey, why are people actually scheduling if they don't take their time seriously? But on the other hand, we cannot be selfish, right? We cannot just assume just because somebody schedules into our calendar that they will be open for us to sell them, right? Because at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to, and they kind of know this, right? So we have to take a step back and actually get better at this, because if we cannot make leads show up to our calls, right, we cannot sell them, right? And having a low show rate, it's bad for morale, it's bad for the team, right? Like everybody's super frustrated if you're sitting on a call, on a Zoom call, just looking at yourself. But it's also you will not be able to scale, right? You will not be able to scale your business if you cannot make leads consistently show up to your call, right? And closers are gonna quit, right? Like if you hire salespeople and people don't show up, they're gonna quit, nobody's gonna make money, everybody's gonna be frustrated. So how do we actually tackle this problem? How do we tackle it fast and how do we tackle it in long term? Well, there's a bunch of different strategies that we can use to get the show rate up. So one thing that we recently did, and full shout out to my man Jeremy Haynes, we implemented this with a client and this basically doubled his show rate overnight, right? He was suffering from a very low show rate. He was like, wow, I can't make money. I cannot, turn this thing around. And we just changed one little thing, and that is sending a selfie video once a prospect schedules. So this is basically a video of you saying like, hey, this is Chris with CEO Consulting. Just wanted to reach out to you. I noticed you didn't respond to my first SMS. Just wanted to make sure that you know that you're talking to a real human. Let me know if you have any questions prior to our call. I'm looking forward to a conversation, something like that, right? Just a quick little intro, because people are getting used to more and more automations. So you want to stand out from the crowd, right? You don't want to be like another robot. You don't want to send them 100 different automatic reminders. People are used to that. Most of them land in the spam folder or even in the spam when it comes to text. So do something different. Send them a selfie video. Preferably you want to do that with an iPhone. iPhone just makes better videos once you send them via text, right? Like Android is not going to be that good. It's an alternative, but it's not the greatest alternative. If you struggle from geographical distances, right? For example, I mostly work with the US, but I don't have a US-based phone number and I'm based, halfway around the world. So you can send videos via email, you can send Looms via email, but they're not going to be as powerful as the selfie videos. Just a quick thing, all of these strategies are going to be in the SOP that I linked below. You can download it, you can check it out how we increase the show rate for our clients. So the second strategy is going to be something that we call an engagement baiting text, right? So this is something where we send them a text and try to provide value and try to get them to respond, because your ability to get prospects to respond is going to directly impact your show rate, right? If people respond to you, there's a very, very high chance that they're going to show up, right? Like if you are in communication with a real human being, if you're going back and forth, it's a very, very high chance they're going to show up, or at least, talk to you, hey, I need to reschedule the meeting, I'm really interested in stuff like that, right? So how does the engagement baiting text work? So basically what it comes down to is just offering them a couple different options of valuable sales assets, right? And we've talked about sales assets before, and I'm gonna have to create another video talking about sales assets alone, I think. But what it comes down to is basically sending them a text like, hey, this is Chris from CEO Consulting. I just wanted to provide some value before our call. So I have a couple of things that I can send you over. Like one would be a case study of me, how we did X and X and Y. The other one would be our complete guide to how to shoot videos without scripts. And the other one is a checklist for you to see that your ads are running better or something like that, right? Like so a couple of different valuable things that you could send your prospect depending on your service. So, this could be tax checklists. This could be, estate planning checklist. This could be, whatever, guides, videos, valuable stuff. It needs to be really valuable, right? It needs to have a real value. It cannot be just you selling the people more stuff. It cannot be your 1 hour long webinar that just primes people to buy, right? It needs to be actual information, needs to be really tangible, easy to consume and entertaining. So something people really want to have. And then, obviously this will get the prospects to respond. So those two things are super powerful in itself. Another thing that you want to do is you want to actually have speed to lead, right? So you want to be super fast once somebody schedules, once somebody opts into your funnel, you want to reach out to them as fast as you can within 5 minutes. There are studies on this. It's 21 times more likely to actually end up in a sale. and you want to be present, because that's the moment when they just opted in, when they just scheduled, is the moment where they're still thinking about you, is where they're still thinking about what they just did, right? Like an hour later, 2 hours later, 10 hours later, they already have like a bunch of different things that happen in their lives, and you might not be as relevant as you think. Another super important thing that you can do is to actually hype up the call, whether that's in the VSL or with the emails that you send, right? You want to send a lot of values. You want to create the intention that the call is actually going to be valuable. It's not just going to be you trying to sell them, right? Like they've talked to a lot of salespeople. They're tired of hearing the same stuff over and over again. The call needs to be something where they gain value from. So you have to hype up the call. You have to hype up the call by emails. You have to increase the value that you're giving, and also send them a ton of valuable stuff with the emails. Preferably already handle the FAQs, the objections that they have, so that it's more likely that they actually have real questions in the call. Now you want to be persistent with communicating with the leads, but you don't want to be pushy, right? You don't need to send them 5 texts a day if they don't respond, right? Like it depends a bit on the situation, right? Like if, in my opinion, if it's early in the funnel, you want to reach out a lot, and the longer it gets, you want to step it down a little bit, right? Because now they know that you exist. They've probably seen a couple of your pieces, and you don't need to do it every day, right? But you still want to be persistent, and you want to do something. What we preach is value-driven follow-up, right? You want to always provide value. Every interaction with you is an opportunity to provide value. Don't be selfish. Don't just expect them to show up. Don't just expect them to buy. Actually provide value before they even do, right? Because then the likelihood of them showing up and buying is just going to be that much higher, because you've already solved a couple of their problems and you've already sent them some valuable stuff, and that way they are going to know that you are legit. They're going to know that the information that you have to provide on this call is going to be valuable for them. So always bring value to the interaction. And last but not least, you want to treat every lead as qualified, right? You want to actually assume that every lead is qualified, even if they filled out the survey and maybe it wasn't the perfect fit on paper. But a lot of people lie on the surveys. Myself, depends on what kind of survey I fill out. Sometimes I put in correct information, sometimes not. It depends on how the question is phrased. It depends on how the questions are asked. And also, money is in the follow-up, right? Money is in actually trying. Money is in following up over and over and over again. I think statistically is like every sale needs like 5 follow-ups, but most salespeople only do 2 follow-ups. So yeah, you definitely want to call every lead, you want to provide value to every lead, and you want to interact with every lead. Quick little bonus tip, what you can use is something like sending memes or sending little funny images. If the conversation goes really to sleep and nobody's answering, you can try it with last resort to kind of like spice it up, to send something funny, so that they can actually, maybe have a laugh and then maybe give you the attention that you want. So let's quickly recap. How can we increase the show rate, the connection rate, and therefore also our sales rate? Have less frustrated salespeople, less time sitting on Zoom calls, just staring at ourselves. So number 1 is a selfie video. That's probably the most important thing that you can do, because that establishes that you're a real human being, that you're different from everybody else, and that you can communicate, right? Number 2, engagement baiting and sending valuable stuff, right? Valuable emails, valuable text, just overwhelming them with value. And the third one is to really hype up the call with the emails that you send, with the text that you send, with the value that you provide before the call, but then also say like, hey, this last little bit of value, this last little piece of the puzzle that you need is going to be on the call itself. Yeah, so if you have a low show rate and you use these strategies, you should be able to double your show up rate easily. If your show rate is already 60, 70, 80%, right, you're gonna get an increase if you're not using these techniques already. So either way, it's gonna lead to a lot more people showing up on your calls, which then also leads to a lot more people buying on your calls, and it's just overall a good process to implement. But if you're struggling maybe with other things, not just your show rate, but you just want to scale your business from, like maybe low 7 figures to multi 7 figures, even 8 figures, and you want to do that with creative advertisement and having all of the things in place that a multi 7 figure or 8 figure business needs, then feel free to check out our website. We scale service-based businesses and personal brands and people in the info space to multi 7 figures or more. So if you want to chat with us, feel free to book a call in the calendar below. Let's talk on the phone for 10-20 minutes. Let's see if we can actually help you solve your problems with our creative content to advertising strategy. And yeah, if you want more information like that, if you like this kind of content, just please like the video and follow for more.